The bakery features fresh baked breads, cupcakes, and more, while the Pizza and Wine Bar has gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand at St. Paul or at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting all along the Civic Media Radio Network. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Matt and Brett here today. Jeff Stein joins us. A lot to get to with Jeff. Oh, I hope he likes talking Trump lawsuits, because that's a slam dunk. Well, the one in New York is pretty much a slam dunk.
Maybe they'll get an extra special master for him in that case.
Well, I mean, how do you actually find a trial that's actually going to be quicker than I need you to find me 12,000 votes? Well, is that you admitting to the crime? Well, okay, then we'll just get you the cuffs right here. Also, I'll talk to him a little bit about Russia, because as much as Putin is trying to sound tough, there are plenty of signs right now. Russia ain't on board with Putin at this point, and I'll talk to him about that. Also, in the 4 o'clock hour, the Walker Art Center up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul has a fantastic, performance schedule coming up here. Philip Beither, their curator for that department, he's going to join us at 4:35. We'll talk about all the events coming up here, including a concert starting this weekend throughout the entire winter and fall. A wonderful museum if you ever get the chance to go there. Philip Beither coming up here at 4:35. I got to tell you, I am off today, man. I am off today. I can't say what. I cannot say what. But I had a run-in with a person today. It's hard when you have to be respectful to someone who is being wildly disrespectful to you the entire time. I mean, I'll give you a great example. Yesterday I was wearing my National Park Service t-shirt, right? I'm at the Y, and there's a friend of mine named Jim who's there, older guy. And he says, Matt, that's a nice looking shirt. I said, thank you. I'm surprised they'll let you wear it. I'm like, okay, fine. You want to go at the radio guy. All right, let's see how this tastes. Jim, I'm surprised you're still alive. And that's all I said. I let that hang there. It's like, God, that was cold. Jim's an older fella. And so, yeah, that one left a mark. And I said, I was kind of surprised you wanted to. And I went up and apologized. I hope it didn't hurt. But, I'm kind of one of these people that generally has a hard time biting my tongue when someone's being kind of jerkish. I had to today, and just was, and the worst part was, they were insulting a family member to my face, and I just couldn't listen here, clown car. I couldn't do it. Ugh. So I'm a little fried, man. Do I look okay? Do I look a little, psychotic?
Not as much as you normally do. So I think we're all right. Yeah.
Hey, give me an Earth, Wind, and Fire September. See if you can pull that up really quick. It is September 21st. So we'll just. No, that's not Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. I know we have it on your playlist here. All right, I gotta find it.
Okay, see if you can find it. It's September 21st. There was Carole King, or was it Carole King? I Feel the Earth Move.
Yeah, I saw Earth in there. There we go. We matched one word. We're close enough.
Oh, it's because of you that search engines break.
I don't want to type out the whole name, just Earth.
I'm not going to type in all of Trump. I'll just put rump. It will come up. Actually, it will. Shockingly enough, it will. And a lot of other things you probably don't want to ever see. But yeah, my suggestion is do not type for that recipe of rump roast and leeks. It's that's going to be a tough one to swallow.
YouTube's being really slow.
All right.
So I'll get it here.
I'm looking for something to get me upbeat and going. All right, fine. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. You got that there?
It's coming. Yeah, YouTube just really wants to go.
Do I have a the medication ad we have to listen to first?
No, it is just really slow, or it's one of those days where the hamster in the wheel is just not churning out the internet
The
very fast.
hamster in the wheel. It's not like we've got one of those dial-up things that has to have this. Are you connected? Like you got mail, for goodness sakes.
Wow, YouTube is not being clutch right now on the song.
All right, fine. I'll just go through the show angry. It always works better for me that way anyway. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to talk a little bit about the mentality of Republicans and the political season this year. And if tell me if you've heard this before. I won't prosecute cops ever. Okay, even when they're guilty, apparently not. I'll give them. There's not going to be any hurdles at all to them. I'll get them every bit of dollar I can possibly. I'll stake money from babies and give it to the cops. And they need a tank. The cops of this local town, the Eau Claire police need a tank. Do they? Is the band program at UW Eau Claire going to really rise up that hard? I mean, I don't think so. But have you had that kind of mentality? Because we're in what I would like to consider to be a somewhat of a dangerous place right now. I remember years ago, it got to be like 20 years ago now, when the police here in Minnesota were getting grief because they were appearing in literature for politicians, primarily Republican politicians, for campaign literature. And they were appearing with their official vehicle and their official uniform. And they basically were, it was very, wait a second, that's your taxpayer funded uniform, your taxpayer funded vehicle. What are they doing in a political ad? And of course, it's standard Republican mentality. Oh, we'll apologize for our behavior. Then, instead of asking for permission, we'll ask for forgiveness. That sort of thing. And there's an oopsie. And it seems like since that time, there really has become this mentality that, that the Republicans, you can basically have the police in uniform in their cars saying, I'm this officer from this department and I want you to vote for them, or I'll come beat you with a baton. I don't know what they're going to say. But they basically have this mentality. I mean, and yesterday in the state of Minnesota, we had yet another case, a bunch of county sheriffs, which once again, in uniform, which is their taxpayer-funded uniform, in their taxpayer-funded job, out there endorsing a political candidate. Which, by the way, if your guy doesn't win, I imagine there's going to be some awkward conversations with Keith Ellison if you have to talk to him. That being said, there's this other story that's floating around right now, and this has to somewhat do with the GOP candidate for governor over in Wisconsin. And it basically is the Minneapolis Police Department is they're working as guards on work sites for Michaels Corporation in Minneapolis, which, some Minneapolis residents aren't happy that off-duty Minneapolis police officers guarding construction sites for a company owned by Tim Michaels, the Trump-style Republican who's running for the governor of Wisconsin. Michaels co-owns Michaels Corporation, family-owned energy and infrastructure contractor in Brownsville, Wisconsin. He spent over $12 million on his campaign and won the GOP primary after getting endorsed by former President Donald Trump. His ubiquitous Michaels work trucks are drawing the attention of Minneapolis residents while also raising questions about Minneapolis Police Department officers frequently uniformed off-duty work amidst robust on-duty overtime and an officer shortage. There's a resident who was wondering why the police are expending precious resources guarding a construction site. Police Department spokesperson Howie Padilla said in an email, it appears that these instances are officers working off-duty for contracted entities. Officers work off-duty gigs can immediately leave a post and spring into action on a duty for a Minneapolis Police Department crime if a crime is witnessed or an MPD needs their help. The arrangement benefits residents, businesses, and visitors. Well, it definitely benefits the right-wing construction company owner. They are try to make the argument among them are the obvious benefits of having an additional eyes and ears on the street. But it does bring up the question, what happens if there's a problem on the street and the guy is on duty, quote unquote, as a private security guard for the construction company? Do they say, I'm sorry, I'm working for the construction company right now. I'll have to call this in and we'll have someone here in 20, 25 minutes. I would hope that they would spring into action, but at that point, they're being paid for and being paid to do private business. And you can't get upset with residents who are like, hey, there's a police officer out there. You're here to help the street. Well, no, they're there for the construction site. I mean, I think at best, and I said this morning, it seems like a pretty big conflict at best in regards to why these officers are wearing their police uniforms and riding police cruisers that say protect and serve the city of Minneapolis while they're there protecting a private business. But it's this is what I'm talking about, this intermingled relationship between the Republicans where the crime here now is a Republican having now granted, paying off duty, apparently, a police officer in Minneapolis to guard their site in police uniform. And like I said, I got some serious questions on whether that police officer would respond to a crime in that neighborhood, or would they say, I'm sorry, I'm off duty. I'm here protecting this, but I'll call it in. Because that's what their job is at that point, is their job is that construction site. This intertwining between the Republicans and the police has to stop, because reality is this. You got one side that basically keeps pouring gasoline on it, and the other side keeps frickin' burning and saying, throw more gasoline on me, which they're grabbing in bucket loads at this point. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Since 1998, the Data Bank GBC has been providing progressive Minnesota nonprofits with innovative, affordable database and communication solutions. We pioneered web-based fundraising software, and today we offer hybrid custom solutions for a wide range of organizational needs, from program management to voter engagement. In addition to outstanding software, the Data Bank provides a wide range of data enhancement services, including personal demographics, voter registration, voting history, email and phone appends, and much more. To help your nonprofit increase stakeholder engagement, the Data Bank is offering 20% off all data enhancement services until the end of September. Now is the time to get ready for your fall fundraising and voter activation campaigns. Contact us today at info@thedatabank.com to find out how the Data Bank can help your nonprofit build capacity and create more impact. That's info@thedatabank.com.
Hi, Matt McNeil here. You know my first Toyota love was the RAV4. I recently had a chance to revisit that romance when I got to drive a RAV4 for a week, and I still love it. It fits like a glove. And with the wildly popular RAV4 Hybrid, you get a vehicle that's stylish, energy efficient, and tough. You can't find a better combination. The RAV4 Hybrid is fuel efficient with an estimated city highway combined miles per gallon of 40, and the RAV4 Hybrid received a 2022 NHTSA 5-star overall safety rating. Test drive one at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of downtown Minneapolis on 394.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality. And for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schroman Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Broadcasting live on locally grown radio, WFHR, 1320 AM, 97.5 FM, Wisconsin Rapids, Stevens Point. Bull Falls Radio, WXCO, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau. WAUK, 540 AM and 101 FM, The Shaw, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Delaware Radio, 92.7 FM in Madison, WTTN, 1580 AM in Columbus. And, of course, at the flagship up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. Nice. Thank you. It's a great song. God, I love that song. It is September 21st. It's the day the song works. There you go. By the way, quick thank you to Todd Colid. Todd Colid is a longtime listener of the Matt McNeil Show. He no longer lives here, though. He lives overseas. And he has been, of course, a big fan. He listens to the show, and he sponsors us from overseas. Thank you very much, because you can't really get to the businesses here. It's a little bit of a commute from Spain to some of the businesses, to Rudy Luther Toyota that sponsors the show. It's a little bit of a commute. So he does sponsor us here. If you'd like more information, 952-946-8885, 952-946-8885 for more information on how you can sponsor the show. Todd wants everyone to remember Lifeline Ukraine. This is a mental health and suicide prevention line in Ukraine. And as you can imagine, Lifeline Ukraine has been overwhelmed with calls. It has just been overwhelmed with calls. They need your help. They need your funding. I'll put a link out to it. It's Lifeline Ukraine. You can make donations from America. So please do help these people out, because once again, they are going through a real tough time, although their military does kick ass. I mean, they really do. Lifeline Ukraine. I'll put a link up on the social media a little bit later on. I've always made this, going back to the police, I've always made this argument, because this is a really bad sign of where we're at today. A police officer could be drunk as a skunk in a bar, off duty, could look at someone who are having a fight with and say, I'm going to go home, get my gun, and shoot you. They could. They could drunkenly stumble out of the bar, get behind the wheel of a car, drunk as a skunk, driving drunk all the way home, get their service weapon, drive drunk all the way back to the bar, stumble back into the bar, find the person they were having a fight with, pull the gun out, and all they have to do is say, that guy was moving his hand, I was scared. And they will be found innocent in a court of law. They will. That is the insane system that we have set up for literally a complete lack of any accountability for their actions. We've had police officers, just because they're lazy, shoot people in the back and get away with it. It took 4 officers murdering a man in broad daylight in the middle of the street at 38th in Chicago and South Minneapolis for people to say, you know what? That doesn't look like police work to me. That looks like a murder. And the only thing missing on those 4 guys is some sheets. We should not, if you have got a situation where the Republican Party is already saying, I won't ever prosecute you, you can commit any crime you want to, and I'll never prosecute you. We're going to give you as much taxpayer dollars, even if we have to take money from other organizations to make sure you have far more money than you ever could possibly need. We will never hold you accountable. You can basically, can be drunk as a skunk off duty, and, that's good enough for us. That's justification. And now you have a case where they're purposely working in uniform, in a car, for Republicans. And at the best, I think we've got a legitimate conflict of interest question in regards to what if there is an actual crime there on the street. Say the police officer is in Minneapolis, is in his car. He's outside of one of Michael Construction Company's sites, the Republican gubernatorial candidate in Wisconsin. He's outside of one of his sites, and he sees what he labels suspicious, which most of the time in Minneapolis means black. He sees some black people walking down the street, but then all of a sudden hears someone saying, help, police, help, help. And he looks and he sees someone trying to wave him down. Does the officer, who's in uniform and in a police vehicle, respond to the person saying, help, help? Or do they say, I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. I've got to watch these perps and see if they are going to do something to the construction site I'm employed at in my free time, but I'm just cosplaying the job uniform I usually wear in the vehicle I usually drive. We are starting to get into some dangerous territory. We've had cases where there have been Republican events and police officers have yanked media and press out of the building for no apparent reason. They are clearly doing the bidding of certain people. I think the last thing we need is people who are blindly, and I mean blindly, just giving anything to the police without any level of accountability whatsoever. And right now, I think every every Republican who's running with this idea that I'm tough on the cops, the question they need to be asked is, would you have prosecuted Derek Chauvin, the police officer that murdered George Floyd? Would you have prosecuted him? Because I have a feeling that most of them would not have. With a murder in the street, they would have said, well, it was kind of a justified argument. And that is disgusting. By the way, I did want to also go on the other quick side here. There was a crime ring that was broken up here in the Twin Cities. And the crime ring was people who were stealing cell phones. Now, here's the hitch, okay? And we've talked about this before. Apparently, drunk people were coming out of bars late at night in Minneapolis. And some guy would say, hey, I'm an aspiring musician. Let me have your phone. I'll find my Snapchat or my Instagram account, and I'll let you follow me there, and then we can be friends. And the guy's like, okay, here's my unlocked phone. And you can imagine what happened next. The people run away with the phone and basically have stolen it. And apparently this has been a organized crime ring. They busted 12 people yesterday in the city for doing this. But I also do want to make sure we understand something. I don't know. I get it. The Republicans have liked to put forward this idea. I remember when we left the doors of our house unlocked, and we can't do that anymore. First of all, let me say, when were you ever so stupid to leave the doors of your house unlocked? Seriously, when was this? It's because I don't care where you are. You probably need to be locking the doors of your house. All right. I get it. You want to put forward the idea there was a time Ma and Pa and I would walk in our coveralls barefoot with our fishing poles down to the lakefront in Milwaukee and go fishing. No, that probably 180 years ago you did that, but not today. So lock your doors. But if I can say, I'm glad these people were arrested. Taking advantage and robbing people who are drunk and unable to defend themselves is bad. But for God's sakes, I don't care how drunk you are. If someone says, hey, open up your phone and hand it to me, you should say, no. that should be your first clue that, no, that's not going to fly. We'll take a break. Jeff Stein up next.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decision should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get Choice Hard Seltzer at Lake Wine and Spirits in Uptown and Falls Liquor in Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Hey, it's Brett here to tell you that AM 950 Movie Night is back. On Wednesday, October 12th at Crooner Supper Club, we'll be showing Greg Palast's new film, Vigilante, Georgia's vote suppression hitman.
Law enforcement is going to their houses and places of employment and making people afraid to go out and exercise their rights.
In the film, Palast will demonstrate shocking details of Georgia's new vote suppression law.
So you didn't call him, but you challenged his right to vote or have his ballot challenged.
Sir, get out of my house.
Okay, I will get out of your house.
Now.
And how the law has disproportionately affected people of color, young, and lower-income voters.
They raided a voter registration office and tried to send all of these college kids to jail.
AM 950's evening host Rick Smith will be in town to host a panel discussion about voter suppression after the movie. Again, that's AM 950 Movie Night on Wednesday, October 12th at 6:30 at Crooner's Supper Club. Come early and get a delicious dinner from Crooner's and meet Rick Smith and other AM 950 staff. The movie is free to attend, but we do require registration ahead of time at am950radio.com.
This is the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space.
And our intention is that these conversations spark your own curiosity that creates a life that totally lights you up.
On this week's show, we talk with Daryl Bolchek. He's a musician, producer, and owner of Wild Horse Recording Studio. Daryl has some stories to share this Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weekdays at 2 p.m. for the latest in political news on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Next Chapter Booksellers has lots of new books in stock just in time for fall. And while we're sad to see summer go, the colder weather does make better reading weather. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. Browse the shelves, or if you're not sure what to get, ask a friendly bookseller. We're great at making recommendations no matter your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also has a wide variety of puzzles, games, and even some early holiday shopping gift ideas. That's the independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul.
Hey, Patrick for Zero Res. All summer long, the kids have dragged in dirt, mud, worse, a few bugs, maybe more than a few bugs. And they made the house stink too. The good news is the kids are back in school, which means there's no better time to call Zero Res to clear the summer stench. Zero Res will clean up the leftover beach day fun that didn't stay at the beach, the spills left behind after the sleepovers, and more. And you can score big savings this month. Get 3 rooms pre-treated and cleaned starting at just $139 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call today at 952-0RES or visit zeroresminnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. And when nothing but new will do, nobody knows floors better than Zero Res. If you're thinking about new flooring, check out zfloors.com for Z Floors by Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 66. Tonight, clear with a low around 45. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 61. Grab a tray of Cafe Latte's Cafeteria and select from a wide variety of sandwiches, salads, and soups. The bakery features fresh baked breads, cupcakes, and more, while the pizza and wine bar has gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand at St. Paul or at cafelatte.com.
Jeff. Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff.
Jeff Stein is our national and presidential expert, noted author. You find his books, your favorite book retailer, totallyiowa.com, totallyiowa.com as well. The Iowa Business Report and the Iowa Politics Report comes to us from KXEL in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, as well as my favorite new T-shirt store, because I am currently wearing the T-shirt that Jeff Stein has sent me in the mail. From what station is this one in your group over there?
This would be the legendary Rock 108.
Well, Rock 108, yeah. I'm presuming the names of all the people are the jocks that have been on the station, because either that or I've really been disconnected from rock music over the last few years.
The idea was to do that's very clever, and I'm glad to see the Postal Service still makes deliveries in a timely fashion. So that's great. But no, it's it's just a rock station. It's not classic rock. It's not alt rock. It's just flat out rock. And celebrating 30th anniversary of the format, so they're selling these T-shirts, which you can see on the Facebook feed. Mm-hmm. With proceeds to benefit a charity called the Iowa Giving Crew. And yes, they listed all the names of the folks they could think of over the course of 30 years. And they hit about all of them. We have not had too many complaints. Now, spelling, that's a whole different issue, but that's really not important.
There's a guy here named The Weed. Is that the station owner? The sales manager? The Weed?
No, neither the owner or manager, neither woman goes by The Weed, but
I'm guessing Saturday night, late night jock. I'm guessing that's where we're going with that one.
Weekend overnights.
Yes.
Yes. Nirvana. Thanks. I'm The Weed. Yeah.
It's The Weed. Yeah, sure. Okay.
But that's a lovely shirt. It looks good on you.
Thank you. It does actually. It fits me nice.
I did not need to see that you were wearing shorts during the break when you were, I don't know what you were doing there, but it was like, oh, geez, there was a glare and it was your legs.
I'll show everyone the t-shirt when we get into the break here. I'll
All
up
right.
it on the live stream there. So, there have been 2 court cases
Mhm.
that were going to be the trouble ones for Trump. The Georgia one is, hey, I need you to give me 12,000 votes. That's a little tough for him to overcome that little hurdle. That being said, the easier layup actually was what the New York Attorney General just put out here. Because you and I talked about this years ago when the first the hints that this case might actually come were out there. It is illegal for you if you want to use your house as a lien on a loan or for insurance purposes to grossly inflate the value of your house. That's why you cannot say, if I want to go get a loan against your house, that you can't say your $250,000 house is worth $3 million. This is exactly what Trump has done over and over and over again, repeatedly, grossly overinflated the value of his properties and benefited from this. It sounds like Trump himself was actually trying to find a settlement or agree to an out-of-court settlement prior to these charges being filed. But as people have said, this is a fairly easy crime to prove, and it's not like people didn't know Trump was doing this anyway.
Well, there are a number of things to unpack. First, they are not criminal charges. It is a civil lawsuit.
Yes.
Now, here's why that's important. I am hearing a lot of chatter on the right from people who say, and by the way, they're right, but it makes no difference. Okay. They're saying, look, this attorney general has investigated the family up one side and down the other, and there are no criminal charges. The best they could do is civil. Okay. First of all, yeah, that's true, but so what? They've filed a $250 million lawsuit trying to drive the business out of the state, saying you cannot transact business here for 5 years, etc. Okay. Civil is much easier to prove than criminal. And so even though it may be true that they could not find a criminal charge, they found enough to file a civil lawsuit, which is going to really hit in the pocketbook quite obviously. Now, the last time you got a mortgage on your palatial estate,
yes,
my guess is the lending institution said, we need an appraisal.
Yes.
Okay, so here's where it gets interesting, and none of us know the answer. I cannot believe any lending institution was going to give Trump Inc. any money with properties being leveraged without some basis, some document, some appraisal, right? Normally, those are independent appraisals. If the bank just took a Trump family member's word for it, that's worth $1 gazillion. Well, then the bank is stupid. And I don't know that banks are stupid. If it was an outside appraisal, okay, that's not the Trump family's fault. However, what if the documentation was in some way altered? If there was pressure put on the appraiser, if the appraiser actually worked for Trump?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about.
Well, like, for example, Matt McNeil Appraisal Inc.
Yeah.
But the Trump family slipped Matt McNeil a little money on the side so he could go buy a Rock 108 t-shirt or something. Now you've got more corruption. So this is a big deal. Okay, let's not diminish. It is a big deal. I sure want to know what documentation was given as support for the loan, because if there's falsification of the documents, if there's payment under the table, etc., there's your case. If it's the bank simply took a borrower's word for it, that's tougher. Not impossible, but tougher.
It sounds like that it's you, as you mentioned, the appraiser was calling from inside the house, and that it was his former finance guy. There was a company that he was, I guess, partial owner of that did appraisals, and those are the guys that did some of these appraisals. So that's where you get the fixes in there.
And the question then is, can you trace it back to Trump or Trump Jr., Jr., and Jr., right? That's the trick. Was there enough insulation? But that's why civil is easier, not just because the standard is different. You have to show the Latin phrase is, look at me, show off. Mens rea. You have to show criminal intent. That's in a criminal case. In the civil case, if they're the officers of the company, and this is where the attorney general is going, is to say the company did bad and they were therefore the officers of the company. And that's how you bring the whole house of Trump down.
The problem, and you brought up the civil trial element, that's actually a bigger problem for them because Eric and Donald are already on the record of Fifth Amendment. I'm pleading the fifth, pleading the fifth, pleading the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
In a civil trial, that looks really bad. And they'll bring that up. Is that and you see, there's the trouble is that they already, when they were being questioned about this, I think in the criminal investigation,
mm-hmm.
it was clear that they did not want to talk about it. And you can say, oh, well, they complete the fifth, that you don't know what they said. But when it comes to the civil trial, then it looks like they've been evasive. And as you said, civil trials are a lot easier to prove than a criminal trial. And from the view I've seen today on these charges, as you said, the best argument the right's making is, well, it's not criminal charges. But it doesn't mean those are not charges. Everyone seems to agree there seems to be more than just smoke here, that they definitely have something that's going to get Trump in trouble because, I mean, it's long been known he's always grossly inflated the value of the properties that he has been on, whether that's on TV shows or in documents. That's already been proven.
And the size of his hands.
Yes.
That's also been something that he's fought. This is why she's going after a company,
Mm-hmm.
and they are the officers. Okay. That's what makes this so interesting because, again, there's not enough here for criminal case. Criminal case means that you have beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond reasonable doubt, you have culpability, criminal intent. That's a harder case to prove in any financial case, not just Trump. Forget Trump, any financial case. The civil is a preponderance of the evidence. I always say it's 50% plus just a little, 50.1%, more likely than not. And so then when you're going after their ability to make a living, you're going after the business in a civil way, like an attorney general can do, right? I mean, this is nothing more than them acting as a consumer advocate.
Yeah.
And every state attorney general does that. And so the fact that she chose this route suggests a number of things. It suggests you don't have the criminal case, but this is going to get them where they really hurt. This is going to get the next generation where it really hurts. And I have not heard, other than the Trump side, I've heard no one say this is just an election year ploy because she wants to get reelected. Because had there been criminal charges, you might have been able to make that case a little stronger. The fact that she did not go all the way suggests, now again, why the timing? I don't know. I don't think it has much to do with her reelection. I don't think she's in trouble in New York, is she?
No,
Attorney General?
They're trying to make it seem, oh, she's in trouble. No, she's not.
Oh, she got aced out. She got aced out on the run for governor when Kathy Hochul took over. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, but Tish James doesn't have an election issue.
Let's look at the other court case here because things didn't go well for Trump yesterday either. And this is in with the special master looking over the things. This was his judge appointee, Raymond Dearie. Now, Dearie, it's clear not only from Trump and the way his lawyers are trying to act here, but also I would make an argument from the 22 attorney generals that filed a brief on his behalf with the appeals court in Atlanta saying that allow the master to do the work. Don't basically push this and allow the investigation to continue. Is that the argument is stall. Don't let this thing get away from the special master, because if it can't get away from the special master, then they can't file charges. They can't do the investigation. And so that seems to be the case. Dearie doesn't seem to be having any of it. He's taken this job very seriously, and he presented the thing which 3 weeks ago you said, which is, well, if he didn't declassify these documents and his lawyers go out there and say he did declassify these documents, well, then they're in big legal trouble because you have just lied. And they can't do that. So it became yesterday, clearly he did not declassify the documents. His lawyers refused to answer whether or not he did. And he's like, I'm looking at these documents. They say top secret, top secret, top secret, top secret. You're trying to play coy here. And very clearly he's saying whether you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. And basically, you can't have it both ways. You can't have this get stalled up here, but then refuse to answer my questions on whether these are declassified. His lawyers, realizing the political jeopardy they're in, are terrified of admitting the truth, because if they admit the truth, he didn't declassify them. Well, they're off to Merrick Garland, and it's over.
Well, and here's the issue. You to your point, this is the special master that each side said was okay. All right. So it's not like Trump's side can say, that guy's a glory hound. You put his name up there.
It was your name. You put that guy in there.
So if it's turning on you now, okay. What and I've really tried to parse this in my mind just to kind of see how it would play out. All right, so the special master is saying, do you intend to rely on the legal defense that they were declassified by the president?
Yes.
The attorneys will not make that statement because they don't have enough evidence to credibly make it. This is where it gets tricky. And that's what was exposed yesterday. So let's say that someone files charges against the former president for, I don't know what, keeping the documents, whatever the charge is. All right. Illegal possession of stolen material, whatever it is. He could say, I said, as emperor, these are declassified. I thought that's all I had to do. I certainly didn't intend to have classified documents. I honestly thought they were declassified because in my mind, I said so, and that should have been enough. That's the defense he's got. Now, I'm not saying it's meritorious. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's his argument, right?
Yeah.
If they make the claim, if the lawyers now make the claim and it's blown up, well, no, there's a process. You can't just say it and make it so. That harms him later in the criminal case. That's the having your cake and eating it too. He wants to be able to say, geez, I didn't have criminal intent. I thought when I said they were declassified, they were. I don't, dirty my hands with the specifics. But if that gets blown up now with a special master, he won't have that later.
Well, and he has the other problem. If a lot of people told him you can't have these documents, and it was not exactly a secret. So Jeff Stein joining us. We'll take a break. When we come on back, we got to talk about Russia because things are getting bad there. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
On the Civic Media Radio Network, it's the Matt McNeil Show. Jeff Stein joining us right now. You saw that the shirt is a lovely shirt. Actually, it's a very nice design on this one, Jeff. I like this one. Thank you very much.
Here's the question. How many of these names are real names do you predict? What percentage of real names are on this shirt?
It's funny because I remember when I got in and I thought, most people use their real names. I mean, outside of the guys like Johnny Thunder. I mean, I knew that guy wasn't like real, but I mean, my real name is Matthew McNeil. That's my real name.
Yes.
But the reality is I come to realize that the vast majority of people I've worked with, I never knew what their real name was.
No, and at least there's one here where it had a name and then it says AKA. So I mean, they couldn't even keep a fake name consistent, which I find to be in keeping with rock radio. Rock108.com if you want to buy a shirt just like Matt McNeil's.
I would hope that the parents didn't name the child the Weed. I would just hope that wasn't their fault.
I think it's a title that was earned.
It's the Third, the Weed, the Third.
Well, what would the Weed name his or her child? The Weedette?
Chronic.
No.
Chronic weed dope. There it is. There's the kids.
Or we have Mary Jane. That would be the daughter.
That's the obvious. Yes, there you go.
I don't even. I was trying to think of some of these names, but I don't even know what names there are for marijuana. That shows you how out of it I am.
Let's. Speaking of out of it, Vlad Putin.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday he basically puts out. We're for lack of a better way to say it, they're calling people up, and it's not officially a draft, but it's former veterans and National Guard guys. It's people who have served. They're all getting called up. 300,000 of them. They're basically getting beaten, and they're getting beaten badly at this point. The military they have on, I don't know how he thinks this is going to go for a few reasons. One, the military he has on the ground in Ukraine right now, they're demoralized. They're running out of supplies. They don't want to be there. I can't imagine things are going to get better when you take guys off the street of Moscow and ship them over to Ukraine and expect them to fight, because there's no way in the world you're going to be able to ship those guys down there and they're not going to have to be on the front lines in some capacity. That I don't think that's going to go well. But clearly, and as a matter of fact, just in the last few hours, there have been massive protests in Moscow against this move, while at the same time, and I don't know if you've seen this thing today, the amount of flights coming out of Russia, jam-packed, people literally leaving Russia to get out of there before their kids get drafted and thrown down to the front lines in Ukraine. It truly is. It's clear that the vast majority of Russians are not on board with Vladimir Putin right now.
And he doesn't care.
That's
the worst situation that you can have, right? The leader who is not responsive to the citizens. And here's my thought. I don't think it's a coincidence that 300,000 reservists, quote unquote, are called up contemporaneous with 4 Ukrainian republics saying they're going to have elections to separate from Ukraine and join Russia. This 300,000 is going to be used as a perimeter. It's going to be used to bolster those 4 breakaway republics. If they have elections and the vote goes Putin's way, I'm pretty confident that's how it would go. Okay. He's going to have the military there to keep control of those citizens and to defend. So that's going to be his endpoint. He's going to say, this is the territory I want. They voted. You people who love democracy, they voted. Never mind that it's a rigged deal. And he'll have the military in place to hold on to those 4 republics that he really wants.
He's got a big problem with equipment right now. I mean, they're getting new equipment from North Korea, which I can tell you is not exactly the most cutting edge tech. The Ukrainians are getting stocked well from NATO, the United States, other places as well. China and India have now basically formally said, we do not condone your war with Ukraine. He really is getting sent out there by himself. And as one of the things that just with modern day combat, yeah, you got ground forces, but this equipment that we've got, if you've got the good stuff, which Ukraine wants are really good stuff, which we're not giving it to them. But if you got the good stuff, you can take out a platoon pretty quick. And right now, Russia just doesn't seem to be having the equipment that they need. And they're clearly, they don't have the the supply chains that they used to have to be able to refurbish this military as it needs to be. I mean, they're kind of in a big problem here, especially with Ukraine getting a lot of land back in the northeastern part of the country.
And that's exactly why I think that these are two moves that are synced. The votes by these supposed breakaway republics and calling up the soldiers, and they would be used as a defensive mechanism with these new Russian states. And then I think that's the game plan, and that allows him to extricate himself from the areas where they're losing badly. Now, again, I'm no military strategist by any stretch, but we do know Putin doesn't want to lose, and we do know he wants more territory. And so he's going to think that that's the line that he can justify, and the rest of the world will say, okay, Zelensky, give up, because we've got a stopping point. The world wants a stopping point, and this is where I think Mad Vlad is trying to position it. And
the two republics, the two main ones he's trying to get, one they don't have control of yet. I mean, the Ukrainians keep blowing up their bridges, and they can't get their troops in or out of it right now. So that's a trouble for them. So they don't have control of that one. The other one, part of that initiative where they took back somewhere in the Northeast, they took back parts of that state. So if you say all of a sudden that state is part of Russia, well, Ukraine is still there and they're fighting. Are you expecting Ukraine to just give up? The reality is I even if there was an occupation, the Russians are in a mess, because it's okay, fine. You have an occupation. You're going to get how many Russians are going to get shot every day in that country? I mean, seriously, the separatists, the people are going to be picking them off left and right. I have no idea how the heck they think they're going to hold on to those regions. Well, I think everybody's looking for an exit point except Zelensky. Yes. Zelensky wants to defend every inch and has said that, and at full respect. Okay. But you can't. All right. So fine. The president's at the UN today making a strong statement. You really think the UN has much appetite for going after Russia, given who will sign on with Russia? I think everybody's just looking for a way out. Well, but who? I mean, okay. So Turkey's going to sign with Russia. China and India basically said no. Granted, they got nukes, and you gotta be careful with something like that for sure. Yeah. But at the same time, is anyone afraid of the Russian military right now? It's not the military you and I used to fear in the 80s. Absolutely, but China and India said no today. Now, what if there is something that they could interpret as a further invasion? See, I'm just saying it's situational. The fact that China has come out against Russia, I don't trust that. That's my point. I mean, they'll justify whatever they need to justify in order to take a different position if it's advantageous to them. I agree with that. I think, but I also think, let's face it, the Russian markets have plummeted. The ruble has dropped 10% today. The Chinese are looking who's going to fund their lifestyle, and that's the United States. It's not Russia. Oh, there's absolutely no question. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is still the place with the best currency, slipping though it is. It is, but it's better than the rest of them. They're slipping a lot more. Yeah, Jeff, once again, I'll put up the Iowa Politics report a little bit later on. Thanks, Jeff. Wisconsin folks, Devil Radio. That's up next. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2.
Hey, Cudahy, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Thousands of people contact InventHelp monthly about their invention or new product. Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Call InventHelp now. Best of all, the call and information are free. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential, explaining every step of the invention process. Join people just like you who made the call to InventHelp.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Standing Up to the Hatriots, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Wall Street took a wild ride today as the Federal Reserve announced another big interest rate hike. The intent is to lower inflation and avert a recession. The AP's Chris Rugaber reports it will mean higher borrowing costs and it will lead to higher unemployment.
The Fed has increased its forecast for how high unemployment will go. They now expect unemployment to get up to 4.4% next year. And that translates really into about 1 million people, potentially 1.5 million, losing their jobs.
The Dow finished down 522 points. There were clashes with police in Moscow and across Russia after President Vladimir Putin ordered a partial mobilization of reservists for the war in Ukraine. That woman was in a crowd in Moscow saying no to war. The Moscow prosecutor's office warned organizing or taking part in a demonstration could lead to up to 15 years in prison. Other Russians responded by trying to leave the country, and flights out of Russia quickly became booked. President Biden declared at the United Nations that Russia has shamelessly violated the core tenets of the international body with its war in Ukraine. Former President Donald Trump, his 3 oldest children, and his company are being sued.
New York Attorney General Letitia James is alleging business fraud involving some of Trump's most prized assets, including properties in Manhattan, Chicago, and Washington, D.C.
We uncovered more than 200 examples of false and misleading asset valuations that were used on his statements. The pattern of fraud and deception that was used by Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization for their own financial benefit is astounding.
The AG is referring her findings to the IRS and the U.S. Attorney for possible criminal charges. A Trump attorney says the lawsuit is neither focused on the facts nor the law. Julie Walker, New York.
Police say a worker died in the public bathroom of a Columbia, South Carolina department store, but her body was not discovered for 4 days. This is AP News.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. My grandfather started Standard over 90 years ago, and we've been a family-owned company ever since, serving over 500,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. I'm proud to be the 4th generation of my family working in our business. And when we say we treat our employees and clients like family, we truly mean it. See how we can help your family stay comfortable all year long at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
And right now, the triple savings sale is back at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning just in time for fall. This month, you have 3 ways to save: manufacturer's rebates, utility rebates, and September promotions. Add them all up, and you could save up to $2,475 when you purchase a new furnace and AC. But don't delay, as Standard Heating's triple savings sale is only during September. So get that AC and furnace replaced before those cold winter nights while saving up to $2,475 with Standard Heating's triple savings sale. That's Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, providing the comfort you deserve since 1930. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 66. Tonight, clear with a low around 45. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 61. Grab a tray of Cafe Latte's Cafeteria and select from a wide variety of sandwiches, salads, and soups. The bakery features fresh baked breads, cupcakes, and more, while the pizza and wine bar has gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand at St. Paul or at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour 2 of the show, Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Matt and Brett here. Philip Beither is going to be joining us, of course, our friend. We've had him on like 6 times. We were going to have him on, I think 2 weeks ago, but he was in Europe. He's in Europe. He's out there enjoying Europe. I'll get to that, back to that in a second.
But a guy end up in Europe there?
Well, no, that's
kind of sounded like him.
Pretentious guy. I mean, there's a different. I'll tell you what, you're going to hear a Dyna guy here in a second. I'm going to bring him on in here.
He is coming up.
We had a problem apparently at a football game.
Oh, I know what you're talking
about. Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. But he's going to join us. They're a brand new season starting over there on the performing arts side. He's the curator over there. We'll talk to him about the entire season, including some stuff coming up this weekend. That's coming up in just a little bit. Hey, responsible gun ownership time. You ready? A Worthington man barred from possessing firearms or ammunition faces half a dozen new felony charges after police allegedly found the 21-year-old in possession of an AR-style rifle, 2 pistols, and 15,000 rounds of ammunition. That duck's not getting away. Prosecutors and Jesus, God.
They got a 1 in 15,000 chance to bring it down.
Yeah, this is Matt. This crime in Minneapolis is that I got. Actually, it's Nobles County. In Nobles County, is charged Jonathan Kivale with 4 counts of possessing a firearm and ammunition while ineligible, 1 count of 5th-degree drug possession with intent to sell, 1 count of committing a crime of possessing a bullet-resistant vest. And a bullet-resistant vest, boy, this doesn't sound like this is about to go horribly wrong anyway, does it?
Why does he need a bulletproof vest?
15,000 rounds,
too, yeah.
man. Dear Lord. Yeah, God, was he supplying Ukraine?
Putin might have to give him a call for some of those supplies.
President Vlad, I hear you got some bullets. We need those. North Korean ones are basically just slingshots. According to the criminal complaint, Worthington police searched his home after the canine was alerted to the presence of drugs during a traffic stop. The search, the vehicle turned up the AR rifle and the magazine, various other items, including ski masks, wound sealer projects. Jesus. The rifle had a pistol grip, a foregrip, and an optic sight attached. During the search of his house, officers located the 45 millimeter, the 9 millimeter pistol, and approximately 15,000 rounds of ammo. He's 21. What kind of paranoid freak are you? Investigators found one of the pistols under a baby's crib. Charges state. Lastly, officers found approximately 5 pounds of marijuana packaged in large sealed bags. Wow. And a bulletproof vest and a ski mask and wound healer.
Under a baby crib.
Well, can I just tell you this? It does show you how little this guy understands. You're not going to get shot. And you're going to, grab the back teen. That doesn't cover it. Do I have a Mickey Mouse Band-Aid? No. You've got a gaping wound in you from a bullet, you idiot. Wow. I have a feeling this guy was going to shoot up something. Yeah. I hope they can figure out what that was, because if he was working with anyone else, that's the part that kind of scares me a little bit.
I mean, he's got all the supplies to do something horrible. Glad they were able to catch him.
So in other news, in case you did not know, there was a homecoming game at Edina High School. And there was apparently a ruckus that happened there. A fracas, a fight broke out at the Edina homecoming football game. And it's it's stuff that happens. I've made a call and decided to try to get a view of what happened from the ground from a Edina guy. Yes. Hey, Edina guy, how are you? I'm fine, McNeil, you hidden child, man. I heard you're on Wisconsin now, dear Lord. Oh, have their standards dropped? It's not that bad. I mean, they have me on there. Like, don't try to talk to me. Ooh, you sound like a cheese curd kind of man. Ooh, get away. All right. Edina guy, what? It sounds like there was a fight that broke out at the Edina homecoming game? Yes. Well, we were sitting there. And we were in the end zone. Now, I had brie and some figs, and it was just delightful. Manservant Claude was serving us all, and he was there, and someone dared to come at me and imply my brie was not at the perfect right temperature, and boy, the fisticuffs to fly. Oh, how dare they? No. Edina guy, no, not that. It sounds like there was actually like a fight in the stands. I didn't see it. Yeah, Scott Jensen is trying to make this like a key point of his campaign at this point. Did you see that? What? That quack? No, how dare he? How dare he defile the fine, beautiful city of Edina with his fumbling campaign? Oh, I bet he's brought in that man beast Burke to talk with him too. Oh, get them away. Get them away. Go. Don't get me wrong. I love Republicans, but dear Lord, you're coming into my town and trying to defame my city? How dare you try to rule? I'll get the right word. Ruin, that's what it is. Ruin the resale prices of our mansions. How dare you? How dare you, Scott Jensen? It sounds like a minor problem. It doesn't sound like a major thing, but you know what happens every election cycle. Now everything that happens is being exaggerated. I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is my wife is completely satisfied. All right, enough with you, Edina guy. There you go. Edina guy, thank you very much. I gotta plan these out a little bit more. Anyway, but there you go. I'm sure Edina will they'll deal with this problem. I don't think it's the biggest crime in the history of all time. That's by any means. But if I can here, it is something that I wanted to bring up, is that the exaggeration of Republicans on everything. So far today, the Attorney General candidate and the Auditor candidate have basically implied that the fraud with the Feeding the Future, the people that stole all that money, that it should have been caught by the state auditor, which I'm not sure the state auditor is auditing. That's the legislative auditor audits the statewide programs, not the state auditor. They do county level stuff. Correct? Am I wrong on that? And then the investment stuff.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure that is the legislative auditor. As a matter of fact, the legislative auditor just released a report on pandemic funds with the Minnesota Department of Health. That was the legislative auditor, not the state auditor. But the implication is that Julie Blaha, the minute they applied, I guess, for federal funds, should have kicked open the door and said, no way, because I'm guessing that the Republican auditor would have said no because they're black. I guess I don't know what they should have done. I mean, I want to remind everyone, from the get-go, the Minnesota Department of Education was like, wait a minute here, these numbers don't add up, and quickly started slowing down and trying to stop the funds. If not for a judge ordering the Department of Education to keep paying them, the Feeding My Future people, this fraud would have been nipped out a lot earlier. So it wasn't Julie Blaha, because that I don't think is really her domain. Same thing goes for Keith Ellison. That Keith Ellison should have basically, I guess, just sits there at home every day and lists off everyone that applies for, federal money and goes through them and does this all the time. He himself stopped Feeding Our Future from dissolving. They actually tried to dissolve, and if they would have done that, they would have probably gotten away with the theft. But he prevented them from doing that while the FBI was doing their investigation. This scaring people all the time stuff and implication. I mean, I think it's time. First of all, can I just sort of say, I think it's time for the DFL. I get it. You bought some ads on Channel 9 or Channel 5. You guys need to get on social media and start going after these clowns. Because I think what's going on here is they don't have the funds to compete with the DFL. So the DFL can't help but pat themselves in the back because they got control of all the TV stations. But what these guys are doing is they're going out there and almost every 10 minutes posting stuff online, which is getting shared 100 times, 1,000 times. It's driving a narrative. You guys got to get out there and start counterpunching this. And boy, once again, I'll talk with the auditor first. The Republican state auditor candidate, he doesn't even seem to know what his freaking job's going to be. Once again, it looks like he's saying that Julie Blaha should have engaged in the job of the legislative auditor, not the actual state auditor. And so you should be hammering him out. He doesn't know what the job is. Vote for Julie Blaha. She at least that's all you have to put in as a social media campaign. Vote for Julie Blaha. don't vote for the Republican. At least Julie Blaha knows what her job is. Understands what the state auditor does. That if you, and I'm dead serious, someone needs to get off your ass in the DFL and put that out there once every 10 minutes and let people share it and let it just become the narrative. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Schultz, the attorney general candidate. Okay. We have to, he's sitting there beaming with pride about his the 24 sheriff's deputies endorsing him, 24 guys out of a state of what, 87 counties. So not exactly even a third of the state endorsing him, because most county sheriffs are smart enough to realize, well, I might need the attorney general's help. And God forbid I'm on the wrong side of this election. I'm sure they'll say, well, you can't hold this against us to Keith Ellison when they're begging him for help in the next term. But that's kind of the way things are. We just had today the sentencing of Lane. Thomas Lane got 3 years for his involvement in the killing of George Floyd. He pled guilty, aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter, the murder of George Floyd. He's been sentenced to 3 years in prison. He's also serving a 2.5-year sentence in federal case where he's found guilty of violating Floyd's civil rights. We already had Schultz come on out and imply that Kim Potter was wrongly prosecuted by Keith Ellison, that she was wrongly prosecuted. I am convinced that Schultz would not have prosecuted Derek Chauvin, that he would have watched the video of those 4 officers murdering George Floyd in the street at 38th in Chicago. And he would have come on out and he would have, golly gosh, first of all, let me talk about how tough it is to be a cop. And you're like, oh my God, you're not going to charge them, are you? I am convinced Schultz would not have done that. I am convinced, and he'll sit there and say, oh, well, I don't want to talk about it, but he already chimed in on the Kim Potter case. So he can't sit there and say, I'm not going to second guess a case when he already is willing to second guess a case if it helps him with a certain narrative, AKA far rightos who want cops to basically never be wrong, especially when they pull a gun out and gun a guy down on camera accidentally. And like I say, yeah, it was an accident, but she still murdered that dude or manslaughtered him. She still killed him. That's an undeniable fact. And Republicans sit there and say, her personal shame should be enough. No. She should be held accountable. The reality is that Schultz seems to be blindly on the side of cops, that a cop could shoot someone in the back. He'll say justified killing. They could basically go on out there, be caught setting up a crime scene. It was justified. It's a tough job. Or, God forbid, holding a man down in the middle of the street, putting his knee on the back of the man's neck and suffocating him out in 10 minutes of video and acting like, I'm not going to sit and second guess the cops. And the reality is most people in the state do not think Derek Chauvin was an innocent victim here. And I think that if you point out that it sure looks like Schultz would have let Chauvin and the other officers go, that's going to hurt, because and the reality is he doesn't want to come on out, and because there's a lot of that far right base that wants him to say, damn right, those officers were innocent. That's what that base wants him to do that. So he doesn't want to come on out there and condemn them at all. On the other side of it, there is this extremist far-right anti-abortion group he was on the board of, who, amongst other things, insisted there has never been a medical reason for a woman to ever have an abortion. Democrats, you got to get out there and act like you want to win this. And I understand, we've got our TV ads. No, you need to get down in the freaking gutter. You need to get on the internet. You need to get on social media. That's the gutter. And you need to be hammering home every 10 minutes. These guys are incompetent, that there are some questions on whether he'd hold Derek Chauvin accountable as the AG, What's with this with about, saying women don't have even a right to a medical right to an abortion? In regards to the AG, in regards to the auditor candidate, you need to get out there and say, the guy doesn't seem to know what his job is. He doesn't know what his job is. Julie Blaha does. Vote Julie Blaha. She at least knows what she's doing. It is comical. But the more you guys overlook these races, great. Yeah. Tim Walz could likely win. And Steve Simon is looking like he's probably likely going to win. But you do not want an activist attorney general suing the governor every 5 seconds. So, and an auditor doing the job is he not even supposed to be doing? What about the job he is supposed to be doing? Auditing. When he's out there doing these things that he is actually technically not supposed to be doing. What's he really going to be doing? You need to get out there and fight. And just waiting for these guys to, our message will reign supreme. Get in there and freaking light up the kidneys with the old punches, huh? Right in the back quarterplex. Yeah, drop them. Fight. Act like this election matters to you. Stop acting like you're clever, because most of the time when you guys do that, you end up showing how stupid you really can be. So get out there and fight. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from Wisconsin's Minocqua Brewing Company, and our progressive beer is now available in Minneapolis. Yes, you Vikings can now buy Biden Beer, Bernie Brew, AOC IPA, and Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout, without having to travel across the border. And the best news yet is that 5% of the proceeds of each beer you buy go to keeping Wisconsin blue.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their progressive beers at Top 10 Liquors in Roseville and Falls Liquor in Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
As we head into the holiday season, Crooner Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't even need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere at Maggie's. Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, I should mention a few news stories here that happened. For multiple schools in Minnesota went into lockdown earlier today. A wave of false shooting reports hit districts. Wait a second, Brett. Could this 21-year-old that they caught with all the ammo? Oh, God, I hope not. Anyway, it's unclear how many districts were affected as of Wednesday afternoon, but the so-called swatting were reported in Minneapolis, St. Paul, as well as Rochester, Mankato, Austin, St. Cloud, and Cloquet. Isn't it one of these tactics that these guys put out there is try to get people alerted in a different place and then go shoot up someplace else?
Yeah, it's creating that distraction, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not saying they are connected. I'm just saying that when we had that story of the guy with all the bullets, and a mask and a bulletproof vest, I mean, it sounds like there was some intent there. And so the question is, where was this was this fantasy the guy was living in, or was there some sort of hard target that he was actually looking at? Needless to say, none of the threats that were phoned in today ended up being legitimate. So, they are investigating, and trust me, they will find the people
I
involved.
imagine that's got to be a pretty serious charge to make a bunch of false claims like that.
Well, I got to believe it. Can it really be just one person doing it? I got to imagine. I'm not saying it wasn't shared, some sort of TikTok challenge or whatever the crap is nowadays. Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't shared out there, but I mean, my guess would be is that the idea might have originated with one person, but I can't believe some one person would have called in all these different school districts. At least I hope not. Create the situation and create a lot of panic on that. By the way, another political note I want to bring up as well. Have you noticed how the Republicans have pretty much abandoned the economy, as at least here in Minnesota? You hear them say, "Oh, the economy is horrible," but they don't really focus on it. Everything right now is, the Hellraiser demon is in downtown Minneapolis. Don't go down there. You won't enjoy your dinner. That sort of thing. It's a hellscape. It's war zone. It's ghost town. It's all those things. The reason why they're focusing so much on crime right now is the latest, the Star Tribune poll. Even this kind of surprises me. How much financial stress has recent price increases had on your household? Has it caused major stress, minor stress, or no stress? And the vast majority, 51%, say minor stress. 16% say no stress. So between the two of them, that's 67%. 33% says major stress. My guess would be is mostly Republicans trying to, hey, I'm angry about everything. That sort of thing. Yeah, and that, by the way, those numbers seem to echo, as you get into more rural parts of the state, where the more Republicans are, that's where you see more major stress. But in the metro itself, it's relatively low. The reason I bring this up is not, I'm not saying that the economy has not, been tough, but one of the things Republicans don't want to acknowledge is the reason why a lot of people haven't had the stress as other times we've had this is wages have actually been keeping up to a point. Where inflation was up at like 8%, wages were up like 6.4%. And so there has been things are costing more, but people are making more. Henceforth, it's not as bad. At least here, I know Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul specifically, are a little bit more of an island, an oasis on that issue. But I think that's one of the reasons why that issue, Republicans were ready to go with their gas station, gas pump stickers with Biden saying, I did this. They were so ready to go. And now all of a sudden everything's just about crime horrible. Cops hate all Democrats. Edina's a war zone, that sort of thing. And so, yeah. And by the way, I will say this. The city of Edina is not amused with Scott Jensen right now. Let's just put it that way. No, we are not. That's exactly right. Can I ask a favor of everyone out there? I got Philip Either coming up here, but I want to just take a few moments here if I can. We all know what's going to happen. We all have that friend who is out there posting right now about how it's horrible in Minneapolis. It's a crime scene. And I believe it's the election day is the 8th of November, right? The 9th of November, the same people that once an hour talk about, basically people clawing their way out of Minneapolis barely alive will suddenly stop. And they won't say a thing, will they? All of a sudden, because the politics are over, it's exactly like Ebola was back in 2014. Ebola, election day. Not one person who was mentioning Ebola once every hour said another thing about it. So here's what I want you to do. Remember every friend you have who is putting out these irrational, bigoted memes against Minneapolis and St. Paul. And when the election is over, when they say, I'm heading downtown, saying, no, you're not. Isn't this and just send them their memes. Take screen grabs of their memes. Send them. Didn't you post all this? Didn't you post on that whole bad things are there? Didn't you say you will never go downtown again right before the election? Now all of a sudden you're going back down again? It sounds like you're making it up. We don't want you here. The city is good without you. You can go away now. As a matter of fact, I'm always perplexed about these people. If they truly do hate Minneapolis, St. Paul, why are you living in a metro area? Everything costs more here. Move. Bye-bye. Your house will sell, even with the interest rates, will sell pretty quick. No one, we won't miss you. We will not miss you. So to your friend who is posting the never-ending source of the memes, start collecting them. And then the day after the election, be prepared to throw them all back in their face and say, you're not welcome downtown. You don't want to go downtown. We don't want you downtown. You yourself have said so much. So don't go down. Why are you going downtown now? You hate it. Let them squirm. Let them realize that there are consequences for their actions. Minneapolis, St. Paul, if you look at the history of this town, it's got some ugliness. It does. Ever since its incarnation as a city. But I do love it. And it is a fantastic place to live. And it's gorgeous here. And there's good food. And the people are pretty decent people. And yeah, there's crime. But we're not even in the top 70 crime metros in the country. We're not. It's a bunch of Republicans trying to scare people into hating our town. Well, screw you guys for trying to do that. Minneapolis, St. Paul kicks ass, and you can leave and let the door hit your ass on the way out. 952-946-6205. Philip Beither from The Walker joins us when we do come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Find a wide selection of outdoor hearth products at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether you prefer wood or gas, Woodland Stoves has the fire to fit your home. Pizza aficionados know nothing matches masonry oven baking for capturing flavor and nutrition. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can easily install one in your home or business. Enthusiasts use these ovens year-round for bread making, wood roasting, even grilling.
The mission and passion of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is to make the fire work for you. The way humans relate to fire is primordial. We have used fire to warm our bodies, cook our meals, and kindle our spirits. Our team has the know-how to do this in a clean-burning and environmentally smart way. Visit our store and experience the diversity. We have over 35 working units on display at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin. See us online at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that fits and works for you.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Next Chapter Booksellers has lots of new books in stock just in time for fall. And while we're sad to see summer go, the colder weather does make better reading weather. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. Browse the shelves, or if you're not sure what to get, ask a friendly bookseller. We're great at making recommendations no matter your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also has a wide variety of puzzles, games, and even some early holiday shopping gift ideas. That's the independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 66. Tonight, clear with a low around 45. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 61. Grab a tray of Cafe Latte's cafeteria and select from a wide variety of sandwiches, salads, and soups. The bakery features fresh baked breads, cupcakes, and more, while the pizza and wine bar has gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand in St. Paul, or at cafelatte.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, we got movie night returning. How nice is that? We're going to be actually doing something with you guys again. Yay. It comes up October 12th. This is over at Crooners. We got Rick Smith's going to be in town. It's the latest Greg Palast film. That's going to be coming up here too. Tickets are free, but you got to register beforehand. Now go to am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com. Find out more information and get registered. Once again, you have to be registered to attend. Make sure you do that. And that's October 12th coming up at Crooners. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Philip Byther is kind enough to join us once again. He is the Walker Art Center Senior Curator for Performing Arts. He has been on this show a bunch of times. Apparently it was, Philip, we were over in Europe. Where were you over on vacation in the last few weeks?
Well, I was actually attending festivals and seeing different performances and having a bunch of meetings in Hamburg, Germany, and in Oslo, Norway, and Kristiansand, Norway. So went to a very cool music festival down there in southern Norway. But, Matt, it's great to be back on your show.
It's great to have you back on my show here. But here's the cool part about your job. I have zero doubt. You take this very seriously. You're going in and looking at all these performances, and you're looking at them through an analytical view to talk about it and kind of like, give you ideas, see if these people want to come over and perform at the Walker, that sort of thing. So as much as it sounds cool, I mean, I imagine it's a pretty strenuous work thing to go on out there and kind of immerse yourself in this to see where the art culture is going at this point. Philip, you got there?
Hello, Matt?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I do take it seriously, and I lost you there for a second there, but.
Well, it was saying that that's got to be, once again, one of those things where you take it, it's got, as much fun as that sounds, I imagine that's a lot of work to do these tours because of the nature of what you're doing. You're always looking for new ideas.
Yeah, and it's, you get to see hundreds of artists, and many of them deserve to be seen more broadly and across the U.S., but we have a pretty specific and really kind of selective process here at the Walker, and we really want to bring the best of and the most surprising and exciting artists from all over the world who are working in music and dance and theater and things. And so it's it's a process of really getting to know artists' work, of course being knocked out by what you see on stage or hear in a concert, but then also really making sure that they're the right fit, and then that we can work out a way to tour them to the U.S.
You are one of those never-ending workers with your job. When you love your job, it becomes easy on that level. And one of the things when you're looking at this, when you were looking for the 2022-2023 Walker Art Center season here, what was kind of the ideas that you were coming up with when you put together this schedule?
Well, one of the things that's been really hard on performing artists and performing arts organizations the last few years is just not being able to have much certainty about what we can move ahead with due to COVID, and how we can travel people, how we can get visas for artists and things like that. So it was stop and start. We did some wonderful things, but really, this is the first full season we've been able to do in almost 3 years now. So in that regard, we really wanted to make sure it was a cohesive and exciting range of work. A lot of these pieces were developed during a pretty tough time of racial upheaval after the murder of George Floyd, of 2 years plus of people having to work in their basement and not with their colleagues, creating new music or new performances. And so there's some wonderful threads. A lot of artists are responding to the really challenging nature of what the world and our country is living through. There's issues that connect the climate crisis with racial equity issues, with questions of how did people survive and make it through COVID. Some of them are quite meditative and deeply thought through, almost verging on a kind of metaphysical or spiritual quality to a number of these works. So there's definitely those thematics that you sense that the artistic communities and maybe our society at large has gone through a pretty rough patch, and are coming out with these forms of expression that really kind of help us all come back together rethink how we move forward, and have artistic experiences that will be inspiring.
The theater is open. McGuire Theater is open here, but just a good reminder here. Where are you guys at? Is it still required masks inside?
We don't require proof of vaccination, but we do still require people to wear masks inside. We just feel for a little while longer, people sit closely together. The artists really need to be somewhat protected because they're on the road and trying to get to other cities. So for a little while longer, we are asking people to wear masks, but we're not checking vaccination or anything like that.
And that's fair. And the trade-off here is this. And I know you are excited about this too, because as much as you take it seriously on the curation side, the point is the art needs to be seen. And the fact that we can bring the public into it and see it on this level, and it's not as serious as it was before. A minor sacrifice is wearing a mask, but you get to enjoy some of the great art that you're going to be bringing in over to the Walker.
That's absolutely right. It's just, we think that we're part of our job is to open a window, kind of to the world of contemporary performing art creators, some of the best out there, coming to the Twin Cities through the door of the Walker. And also finding some great, we have so many wonderful artists here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're, like this weekend, connecting national figures with the really rich local scene and developing something brand new by making those connections.
Well, let's talk about this weekend. Your season starts tomorrow, or excuse me, not tomorrow, on Friday. Friday and Saturday, Lamb Chop, Show Tunes in the Bible. What exactly is that show?
Okay, Lamb Chop is this guy, that's the sort of acronym he uses for Kurt Wagner, who's a folk pop idiosyncratic singer-songwriter who's been working for 25 plus years, put out over 20 records. He's got a huge, a very rabid cult following, beautiful, laconic, spare, sometimes haunting feeling music. And a few years ago, he connected with some of the leading forces in our own scene, Andrew Broder and Ryan Olson and Brian Nichols on keyboards and a number of other artists. He met through Justin Vernon, who leads Bon Iver, and he really hit it off, and they helped him reinvent his sound, but he has not been able to perform out live with his group Lamb Chop for almost 2 years now. So he's presenting a record he put out right during COVID, and his brand new record called The Bible. Show Tunes, the first record is one he said is show tunes for people who don't like musicals, and the second one is The Bible is as he has said is spiritual music for the God-forsaken. So he's a funny and a kind of a dark guy, but who is a beautiful songwriter, and he'll have 16 musicians on stage, a horn section, a group of singers, and a whole bunch of instrumentalists all playing with him. And it's the world premiere of all these songs.
Well, there you go. You just said it. I mean, these eclectic musicians I know who have come out with their own catalog of songs that they have written and done, and they're ready to go. And so this is great. This is obviously kind of world premiering a lot of this. Huge show. It is Friday and Saturday. Our tickets are still available, right?
The tickets are still available. Yep. They've been in the theater all week long. So it's been great to just walk out of my office, go into the theater, listen to as they construct and orchestrate these songs. It's really been a beautiful thing. And Kurt couldn't be more thrilled. He feels like this is the city where these songs should be premiered. So definitely people can go on walkerart.org or, and get tickets. There'll probably be some tickets available still night of show, but we really hope people will come and check it out. It's sounding like it's going to be a beautiful concert.
And if I can just make my pitch here, go get the membership. The tickets are then $25 each. They get a discount with the membership. And then you're a member of the best modern art museum outside of MoMA, really. And it really is just a magnificent museum that we are lucky to have in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is just fantastic. So get the membership, you get a ticket discount, and then you can go through the museum all year round. And that's well worth it as well. Your next exhibit, I wanted to talk about this one as well. Saturday, October 8th. You've got, this is kind of a film music combo, right?
That's right. It's a British filmmaker named Ara Sals, and she's collaborating with a native composer named Raven Chacon. And they're doing an evening called Preemptive Listening that is kind of jumps off from the idea of sirens and alarm systems and sort of like a metaphor for our times. Raven Saccone, he's a very accomplished composer. He's also a video artist and a visual artist. His work was featured in the Whitney Biennial this year. But the amazing thing is he's the first Native artist composer to win the Pulitzer Prize, which just happened last December.
Wow.
So this is the first time he'll be playing in Minneapolis since he won the Pulitzer, and this unique collaboration between a filmmaker and a great musician composer is very cool. And it's just a one night only. It's a collaboration with our movie and image department here at the Walker. And we think it's going to be super intriguing.
I love the fact that not only the Walker, but I think a lot of museums are starting to realize the underrepresented and underappreciated level of Native American artists that are out there in all the different elements. And, bringing them in and bringing more awareness to them, I think it just makes them much more whole, and, it makes it more satisfying and a better understanding of art, especially from their perspective. I think that's so important.
I couldn't agree more. And just last weekend, in fact, we had a dancer choreographer who's going to be here in the spring from Algeria, now based in France. Her name is Nassera Balaza. And she was so interested in connecting with Native artists here. I took her over to in Mendota Heights, where the Dakota Powwow was happening.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 4 hours there, met all kinds of people. It was just such a joy to be able to connect people across the world around indigenous art forms. And there's a number of pieces on our season that involve global indigenous movements and artists. And so it's definitely another sub-theme of the year. And, one of the things that separates us from most other museums around the world is we're really an art center that has a home for, all these different disciplines. Of course, our visual art collection and this work in the galleries is wonderful, and the sculpture garden across the street are fantastic. But we also have all this amazing dance, performance, music, film, design. So it really sets us apart from even places like MoMA and the Whitney and San Francisco Museum of Modern Art and things like that. So we're proud of this kind of platform that we've built here at the Walker.
I'm biased, but pound for pound, your museum is absolutely sensational, and it supplies this city with a jewel in the crown and a legitimacy which is absolutely irreplaceable. Let's talk a little bit more about your entire season that you got coming up here. One of the things I noticed is you got a lot of dance troops coming through. Let's talk about that. Why? I mean, obviously, we talk about COVID with dance, usually not a good combination. So it's great that they're able to get back out again. Is that kind of what it is? Is there a lot of these dance troops had to take the sidelines for 2 years, and now they have the opportunity to get back out?
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. The Walkers had it all the way back to the 60s. Has had a really strong, important relationship to the art form of dance, from Merce Cunningham and Trisha Brown and kind of legendary figures who called this place their kind of home away from home, to like great dance creators of the 80s and 90s right up until today. And we've become more and more global in some of these artists, but we also have this wonderful 3-year project that is going to come to its conclusion from a St. Paul choreographer named Leslie Parker, who's making this beautiful, healing, almost ritualistic work that centers Black female improvisers, and dance makers, and musicians. But we have other dance artists coming, as I said, from Algeria, from Brazil, from France, from New York. So it's about a third of our season, and that's about what has been generally. We roughly have about a third music concerts, a third dance events, and another third of kind of experimental and contemporary new forms of theater. So it's kind of roughly in that range. And more of these artists it might be a dance work, but it very much involves design and music in interesting ways, or it might be a theater piece that integrates interesting elements of movement and dance. So the lines between disciplines are getting more blurred. I think that's a super exciting thing. And for an art center like ours, where all these forms of expression are very much supported, it's the exact kind of work that we think deserves to be encouraged and allows us all to look to the future of where the arts are going.
And I also, by the way, speaking of getting cutting edge stuff here, should mention there the Out There Festival for 2023 is already scheduled. I mean, you got a lot of stuff coming up this fall, and I want people to go over to the Walker and check out the full schedule. But Out There 2023, Out There is always a popular little get together.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive. Middle of winter, one of the coldest places in the country. And we have such an intrepid, wonderful audience that has fallen in love over a couple decades of Out There. It's essentially a series, almost a festival-like thing of new forms of theatrical expression. And we've got some of our largest works that we've ever done in Out There this year. And the first time the opening of an art exhibition by an artist who really came out of the dance field named Sarah Mitchelson. But a group from Belgium kicks it off with an ingenious hit from the Edinburgh Festival about the climate crisis called "Are We Not Drawn Onward to New Era?" It's a very, I don't want to give it away, but it's a really clever and moving piece of kind of nonverbal theater. And then we finish Out There with this amazing jazz singer named Cecile McLaurin-Salvant, who is also a visual artist, and she's created this beautiful digital animation. And with her 14-piece chamber jazz group, about a story about an ogress, an ogre in the woods, who faces a kind of discrimination and oppression. It's a kind of fairy tale, dark fairy tale with a lot of joy woven into it as well. But Cecile is one of the great singers of our time, and she's also, a multidisciplinary creator and things. So that one is going to probably sell out pretty soon. And so I'm encouraging people to not miss out on just 2 performances in end of February.
The performances start coming this week, and they run all the way through fall into winter into next year. I can't recommend enough to go catch these because they are truly exceptional. And get the membership. I talk about this all the time. Get the Walker membership, because not only then do you get to see these get these experiences at a discounted rate, but you also get to go into the museum, which is so worth it. It's not even funny. It's just such an amazing museum. Once again, this weekend, Friday and Saturday, Lamb Chop over there at the McGuire, right?
That's right. Lamb Chop is show tunes, the Bible. So he and all his compatriots will be on our stage performing both Friday and Saturday before they go off on national touring. So.
Philip, next time you go overseas to go look at all these things, if you need a manservant to carry the bags, Brett and I here at the station, we're willing to come with. We're easy.
I'm sure you guys have a great eye. I can help you. I'm sure I could benefit from your perspective, and so someday we'll do that together.
Philip, once again, it's so glad you guys got a new season out there. I'm so glad it's a full season and it's looking pretty good out there. And congratulations on this. I know with the care and the eye that you've got, that this is going to be sensational. So congratulations on all of this.
Matt, thank you so much for your support over years, and really pleased that you're helping spread the word about all the wonderful experiences. And I couldn't agree more. Become a member of the Walker and you get access to lots of great things.
Philip Beithler is the McGuire Director and the Senior Curator of Performing Arts. Philip, thank you very much. Let's take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Fuel efficiency is a must these days, and the best way to make sure your vehicle is running in top condition is to take it in for service at Rudy Luther Toyota. The first thing that happens as you drive your vehicle into the service area is they check your tires for proper inflation and wear. Oil changes, air filters, belts, coolant. Rudy Luther Toyota will check everything that can possibly affect your gas mileage and give you the service that you can depend on. And they can handle larger repairs too. Energy efficiency starts with a vehicle running correctly, and that starts with Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. The House on Wednesday took the first major step to respond to the January 6th assault on the Capitol, voting mostly along party lines. What? I'll get back to that. They overhauled the 135-year-old Electoral Count Act, the law that former President Trump tried to exploit the day they overturned his defeat. The bill was a most significant legislative answer to the riot and the months-long campaign by Trump and his allies to invalidate the 2020 presidential election. A clearly divided House passing on 229 to 203 vote. All but 9 Republicans opposed the measure, wary of angering Mr. Trump and unwilling to back legislation co-written by Representative Liz Cheney, leader of the House Select Committee. The partisan division could complicate future negotiations with the Senate, which is moving ahead with its own bipartisan version of the legislation. This is disturbing. In this point, this should be a no-brainer. We clearly see a petulant, narcissistic man-child who just couldn't stand the fact that he lost, who went on a massive campaign, recruited hundreds of co-conspirators prior to the assault on our Capitol to cheat and rob the system, not because there was actual fraud, but because they were sore losers. That's all this was. And we know this. We all know this now. And yet, the Republicans all voted to say, yep, we want to make sure we keep this fraudulent system in place so that if Donald Trump wants to try to overthrow the government again, he can. That is disturbing. It's... I don't know. Will it be just when Trump passes away? Will all these people finally wake up and say, well, I don't know where you got the impression I was for overthrowing the government. I just basically did everything the guy told me to. It does. It seems it's kind of a little bit like, that it's kind of a lot like Russia, isn't it? The Republican Party today is a lot like Russia, where they can see that Vladimir Putin is doing a lot of bad things. They can see that he's taking them down a really bad path. They can see how wildly unpopular the guy is. But the people in that country that are the leaders, supposedly, can't just look at him and say, no, we're not going to do this. You invaded Ukraine illegally, and they're kicking our butt, and we should be grateful China hasn't rolled across. They should be grateful China hasn't rolled across that border and taken large swaths of Siberia at this point, because the Russians aren't going to stop them. They don't have any military. Dear Lord, it is really hard to see how far the Republican Party has gone, but this is a good reminder. Your moderate Republican friend who sits there and says, January 6th was a bridge too far. They're going to vote for Donald Trump again if he's on the ballot. They will. They're going to vote for all these Republicans that encourage the January 6th overturning. They'll vote for Republicans even though that they basically know that they shouldn't, because they've been brainwashed into forfeiting their ability to rationally think about this. So you just have to get every freaking Democrat out to vote. That is the key. That is not even a debate. Everyone votes in 2022. Everyone votes. Devil's Radio up next. Naval Roots Radio at 6. We're back tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Hey, it's Brett here to tell you that AM 950 Movie Night is back. On Wednesday, October 12th, at Crooner Supper Club, we'll be showing Greg Palast's new film,